Let me bring in now Emmett Ryan. He's a student at the University of Maryland. Go ahead, Emmett.
Mr. Yang, like your son, I am on the autism spectrum. And while I kind of speak for the other millions of other Americans on the same spectrum, I can say with confidence I'd like not be speaking here today about support, the same support that the Trump administration has tended to cut funding for. Would you be able to elaborate on your plan to protect these programs, along with other programs that currently don't receive any federal funding?
Yeah, so in case you hadn't gathered, like Emmett, my older son is on the autism spectrum, and my wife and I figured that out when he was turning 4, and it was a massive relief to us because as first-time parents, you don't know if you're, it's like maybe this is perfectly normal, maybe we're just terrible parents. Like a lot of things go through your minds, but then when we realized that he was on the autism spectrum, it's been this tremendous journey for our family, and I know what families go through. We need to dramatically redouble and invest in helping families with children who are developmentally different or neurologically atypical. And as a parent of someone who is atypical, I now think atypical is the new typical. And so we need to be able to do more for those families. And as president, I would champion a federal program to help funnel money into the schools in our communities and make sure that that burden's not on the states. This is a federal responsibility and a federal initiative I will be thrilled to lead. So thank you for your question, Emmett.
You say... And I think this is a really important follow-up question because I know this is such a personal issue to you. You say you want to destigmatize autism. How would you do that?
Well, part of it is just that I'm so open talking about it. I'm fairly confident I am not the first politician or even presidential candidate with autism in their family, but for whatever reason, it's swept under the rug as something to be ashamed of, which to me makes absolutely no sense. I'm very proud of my son, and anyone who has someone on the spectrum in their family feels the exact same way. So that's for starters. But number two, then if we invest these resources, because right now part of the stigma is you feel like you have to provide more for your kid, and then you go to the public school and they're like, well, we can't help your kid. And then you end up feeling marginalized through that process, and your child does too. So if they show up to that public school and say, hey, great news, here's this whole suite of resources for your child, then we can alleviate the stigma in the most important way, which is actually when the parent shows up to the school with their child.
Andrew Yang, thank you. Thank you all for staying with us. We'll be right back with much more from CNN's Democratic presidential